Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. It's been quite a while since we've covered the lane control saga in detail. We're going to talk about that today, and we're going to open up with one of the many cases that I have been unlawfully stopped and ticketed with and unlawful convictions. This is the Officer Kevin Devlin stop and ticket on Tilton Road. We're going to see if we can do a little bit of commentary. There's our question. Where do we ride if there's no infrastructure? And of course, the best position. This particular video got about 12,000 views. And I just simply want to go back over it with some commentary. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can lower our volume, do some commentary. So we're going along here. Let's come back a little bit. We're starting off, and the first thing I want us to look at is we have a very small, medium-sized sedan here. We see how much of the lane that it takes up. So our cyclist would be right here. Number one, if we lived in a world where all of our drivers paid attention and could safely maneuver past the cyclists, that would be wonderful. Number two, if this vehicle was the average size of the vehicles on the road, then that would also be wonderful. But unfortunately, that is not the case at all. The vehicles get much, much larger. So we're going along here. And what I had my technician do, thanks Joe, I know we don't see eye to eye anymore, but thank you anyway. I had my tech here slow down and put into slow-mo to draw attention to our no pedestrian sign. That's right up there. No pedestrians are allowed to walk on the side of our road here. And why is that? Because it's too dangerous. If it's too dangerous for a pedestrian to be walking, then please explain to me, why is it safe for a cyclist to ride on the edge of the road? If it's not safe for a pedestrian to walk on the side, then it's not safe for a cyclist to ride on the side. Alright, so we're switching now to our rear view. And what we see here is traffic is now beginning to, separate itself. Everybody's picking their lane. We've got about 5 different lanes here. Right now, we've got, let's see if you can see, all the way off. Let me see if I can pull without causing a bunch of shit. Come on. I'm trying to get the stylus out of the Galaxy rather than my big clunky fingers. Okay. So over here is where we have our jug handle that swings traffic up onto our parkway that we just crossed over. If you want to get onto the parkway, this is our jug handle. And well, right here, let's see, there we go. Right here directly in back of me, that is Officer Devlin zeroing in on me. We see over here traffic has begun to segregate itself. Most traffic that are familiar with the area know that this lane that Officer Devlin and myself are in, it is what I have personally dubbed the tourist / gas station lane. meaning that only tourists, people who are not familiar with the area, tourists that have just bled off of, because this up here is our way onto the parkway, and when we go back underneath, we just passed the jug handle that bleeds traffic off of the parkway and on to Tilton Road. So you will have the occasional person that's from out of state that might not know that the lane they're in, it's about to end in like maybe 500 feet, 500 or 600 feet. And traffic that is familiar with the area will, of course, begin occupying the lanes to our far left, unless they have need for gas, which means they're going to be in this lane. And guess what? If they're in need for gas, then what are they going to do? Come plowing into the gas station at 45 miles per hour? I don't think so. They're going to need to slow the fuck down regardless. So, let's see, clear that away. So here we are. We see our jug handle lane here all the way over, and now we are differentiating again. So that's our jug handle lane. Oh, by the way, this is also one of the great many drainage grates that are all over the place. Remember now, Officer Devlin, right here, he wants me over here in direct collision course with, the motor traffic that's flanking him on his right. He wants me in the gutter with all of these drainage grates, and there are quite a few of them. And of course, to just simply dart across. He wants me to dart across the lane of travel. And of course, we cyclists know how incredibly dangerous that is. Okay, traveling on here. And now, this is our right-hand turning lane. Black SUV, right-hand turning lane. Traffic is all filtering itself. Okay? I'm not turning. I am as far right as practicable. This lane, let's talk about this lane, see if we can, let's see here, let's see if we can, get Officer Devlin to pull forward just a bit more. How about just a bit more? A little bit more. Okay. That might help. So we see Officer Devlin, he's hanging back. Officer Devlin had ample opportunity to change lanes. But what I want you to really drink in is the size of Officer Devlin's Dodge Charger vehicle, how it takes up that entire lane. I don't know if you can see that or not. Phone's having difficulty focusing. His Dodge Charger takes up the entire lane. There is zero room for safe lane sharing. So if Officer Devlin is saying that even if I should not be in, our turning lane here, if he is then saying that I should be, there we go, finally, a focus, finally. Look at how his vehicle takes up the entire, and again, I want to point out, that Dodge Charger is by no means the largest of vehicles that travel these roads quite frequently. So Officer Devlin wants me to, if not in the turning lane, then to ride on our white line here and to attempt to lane share with a vehicle as large as his. And let's not even talk about the 18-wheeler big rig lorries. The mathematics are clearly on the cyclist side. He, under cross-examination, did indeed admit that is, it is not physically possible to lane share. Yet they are insisting that I do it and convicting me time and time again for not lane sharing. So we see, look at how his vehicle takes up the entire lane. So we've crossed the road here now, again, in compliance with our road markings, telling us to move over. And that is what I did. My vehicle doesn't take gas, so I have no need of our gas station. I am now changed lanes into, once again, the rightmost lane that is practical. And over here, here's our gold SUV. Our gold SUV is no longer going the posted speed limit. The gold SUV you're about to see gets slower and slower and slower. And guess what? So are the vehicles in back of it. None of the vehicles that we see in back of our gold SUV are changing lanes to the right to even overtake. Traffic is moving at different speeds at this very moment. And in this very moment, you're about to see that my vehicle on the road is indeed the fastest vehicle on the road. I got the volume down, but I'm now shifting into my 11 gear, and I'm pulling away. I'm even pulling away from Officer Devlin. I'm no longer on the incline. There's about a 3% incline coming up there, and now we've humped our incline. And as we see, there's nothing. Now remember, it's important to look, nothing. No obstruction. No anything. We're crossing, and now Officer Devlin is activating his lights because these are the city limits for Egg Harbor Township, where his jurisdiction comes to an end. And therefore the unlawful stop. And look at how slow traffic is going by. Traffic is not, do I need my light on? Traffic is not going the posted speed limit because they had different things to do, different places to be. Let's show you something. Now, we saw Officer Devlin had ample time and opportunity to change lanes and overtake, but of course it's Officer Devlin and many motorists' belief that a cyclist should never, ever be in the way of a motorist, in the way of traffic, because they don't acknowledge a cyclist as being traffic. Kind of like, who remembers the old saying, children should be seen, not heard, or some say not even seen or heard, and then hell, if you got some misogynistic interpretations of that axiom that women and children shouldn't be seen or heard, they're kept out of the way of men while they talk their man business. Anyway, here I'll show you something. I think it's focusing here. This is what I received in the mail yesterday. We see that this is dated for April the 5th. Now it is true, sometimes I won't go to my mailbox for a week or even two, but I definitely do not stay away from my mailbox for an entire month. I am beginning to wonder and speculate if the storage facility, the mailbox people, who are definitely right wing, if they are deliberately holding official documents and putting them in my mailbox at a much later date in order to excuse me, to make me late for appointments and things like that. However, they're not the only person on the suspect list here. Hold on. Believe it or not, this might sound unfathomable. You would think that a prosecutor's office would never do anything so criminal. Um, I have in my possession very crudely altered documents by prosecution for the Jewish Family Services abuse case when they abused me. Um, in regards to the grand jury indictment, uh, basically the document itself and the envelope on the outside, somebody physically uh, altered because they had their own post office metering device. You know, you put your envelope in there and it stamps it. Because the postal mark, they can't alter or tamper, to my knowledge, uh, the post office device itself. So what they had to do was that on the document, they crudely in ink wrote over the date of the document, and I think they also wrote over. I'll have to check because I retained the document as well as the envelope that it came in, showing that they altered it in ink, in handwritten ink. Uh, in other words, they wanted to make it look like the document had been sent out to me in a timely fashion when in fact it had not. So I have no idea. That's a carbon, one of those carbon court-produced things by a computer. I don't know enough about them or how they go out in the mail. So it could be like a huge, because I'm sure I'm just one of a great many notices that have to go out. Um, did somebody go, fingering through to find my notice, withhold it, and then put it in the mail however longer later? Our postmark on it, it does indeed have a April the 5th, I believe, postmark on it, so it went out in a timely fashion through the mail. Though why it didn't make it to my mailbox in a timely fashion, it's unclear. Um, but yes, so it could be where I rent the mailbox for their right-wing views. They're very pro-police. They know about my YouTube channel, and they probably just simply hate me for my being a black man, a poor black man, and putting mostly white police officers in their place, not kowtowing to their authority and not kowtowing to their authority. That's a whole rant that could be made there. The public and their relations with not just simply police but also first responders. I'll just say this real quick without jetting off into a whole Blanche subtopic. Have you ever stopped to think and wonder why it is a mainstay, a basic tenement of television programming, first responder content, television show, whether it's a sitcom or a primetime drama, like you got NYPD, City Blue, or something, or Boston Nine, not all this stuff, whether it's comedy or drama. You had your third shift. I think that was on NBC. Oh, don't get me wrong. A lot of them live fast and die hard, but the point that I am making is that there is always going to be a market for that because the public, no matter how heinous and disgusting the latest story that's rolled out in the news about a police officer either killing somebody or abusing somebody, there will always be a market for first responder programming. Not just simply police, firefighters, paramedics, doctors. ER ran for how long? I could so go off onto a tangent as to why the public are enamored with these occupations. And anyway, getting back to our topic here. So we see that I did call today to find out if a warrant for my arrest had been issued. The court clerk said no, not as of yet. Also, to give another update, the $50 donation that I received on GoFundMe, that will indeed, don't think for one split second that I've forgotten about it. There's the reason why I haven't used that money to pay the unlawful conviction fine. Basically it's a ransom note, is what it is, to pay the ransom money. I kind of was wondering if because we know there's been a long break in whether or not, what time I got here, there's been a long break as to, what's going on with the case, and I haven't done anything, no kind of updates with it. I remember one of our last major updates and going to Trenton and things like that for the Supreme Court. The fines had been stayed for about a year, and I believe in it was either March or April, that year may have indeed elapsed, which has now put into motion our automated notification of the ransom note and the abduction and ransom notes. So that's why I didn't use that money initially, because that might have deactivated the stay of the ransom. That may have deactivated the stay. So now that it is confirmed that the stay of ransom has been elapsed, I will, in accordance with what I have told you, my donor at the time, I will indeed be using that. $48.25 was the net. Of that $48.25, I will purchase a money order, which will come out of that, because you guys think I'm fucking joking. I'm not kidding you. I personally will not pay one fucking red cent to pay any more of these fines. I'll talk about that in a minute here. I'm not going to pay any more of these fines, and I will use that money to actually, so it'll be like $47, maybe $47, however much a money order costs. I don't know how much they cost, and that's what I will deliver to the court. I'll do a video on it, and I will definitely meet my obligation. Don't think I forgot, but there was a reason why I hadn't done it, so don't think I was getting cute with the money. Okay, so the money, yes, we see that our, where is it? Up to $546 is the ransom now, and of course, Department of Motor Vehicle, they're also demanding about $400+ for ransom. So that's just this particular incarnation. Let me activate my phone here. This particular case, incarnation of, in other words, I can show you better than I can tell you. Hold on. Look at them. All of these unlawful stops, money that I have paid in the past, that I will pay no longer. So it is not that I am not willing. It is not that I am not willing to have paid. I paid this one. Mark Stein, he told me that I should pay it. Listening to that attorney, there's Officer Larry Graham. That's when I was still figuring out how to orientate the camera. And it just goes on. And of course, our Egg Harbor Township with our shocking ending. What's so important to note about that is that literally Officer Devlin is saying, okay, in this instance, you're in the right. So what exactly is and there's like, so many more, and it just goes on with page after page. And there's Jeremy Hartman, unlawful stop and ticket. And here is our first case where the Egg Harbor Township was stopped, pages more. So, I have paid thousands already, and I have drawn my line in the sand, and I will not pay any more. DMV wants about between $400 and $500, so that's like $1,000. That's just for this unlawful conviction, not even counting the convictions, the unlawful convictions of past. Okay. All while police officers and state troopers are hit and killed by the exact same whoops-a-daisy drivers. Their life matters, cyclists don't. We will widen shoulders for the cops' sake. We don't care about cyclists. And it is always the reckless cyclists that are used as basically their shield. Like your Philadelphia street thugs popping wheelies and darting into head-on collisions with traffic and deliberately scaring the hell out of drivers is what they like to do. It is those type of hooligans. I would not even call them cyclists. Hooligans on bikes that they would like to use as their defense, the predicate for their continuity as to where cyclists should always be. In the gutter, in the curb, and of course that takes us into Posel v. Essex, where there are all kinds of road imperfections out there. The school bus stop by the trailer park in Egg Harbor Township on Route 40, I got a feeling the Egg Harbor Township Police, they watched the channel, they know about it. Shortly after my Posel pothole coverage that I did, there was an attempt to fill in that massive crater. It wasn't so hot. It needs to be done again correctly. It needs to be done again correctly. There was a huge pothole there. So the state, they're running a shell game, a P shell game, like our street hustler with the card and the P under the card and hustlers like that. They want to move. They're moving around liability. Liability is the P under the shell. Okay, and when cyclists are utilizing these shoulders on the road, well then to escape liability from death and injury lawsuits, we see in our ruling, Justice Alvin from the Supreme Court says you cyclists are the ones who are solely responsible for your positioning on the road. Don't try and sue the state of New Jersey because you're the ones who are solely responsible. But of course, we see here in all of the multiple incidents when I do just that, when I take adaptive measures into my hand to protect my own safety, whether you want to agree with it or not, okay, you, the motorists who are not a cyclist, okay, who don't have the perspective and the experience that I do, okay, I am then unlawfully ticketed and penalized for it. I'm at 28 minutes here, so it's like when you will sometimes take your police shootings, okay. Has anybody ever heard, oh, you could have shot him in the leg, shoot him in the hand, or shoot the gun out the hand? For all of my experienced law enforcement, hell, you know what? Even a fucking rookie coming out the academy, anybody can basically tell you who's ever had real life hands-on experience with a gun and an armed assailant. It is so not the television. It is so not TV. There is no trick shooting out there. There is no trick shooting, and there was no trick shooting. So saying that to a cop, oh, you could have done it a different way, that's just like how you say to a cyclist, oh, you don't have to be in the middle of the road, you can do it some other way, and things, you want it to be some other way, and Captain Hindsight, Captain Hindsight, you're not cyclist. You don't have the experience. Like my buddy, I think I called him, Scott? That was my nickname for him. He rides a Scott bike. There was the one video where coming from the mailbox up to Beacon's bike shop. Now, Scott, he's a much fitter cyclist than I am. He's faster than me. But what I couldn't help but notice was that because he does group riding on segregated trails primarily, you know. Scott is not a vehicular cyclist. And I don't know if you could hear in the video of that and whatnot. He's like, and sometimes he's in frame, sometimes he's not. But there were some moments there where he just wasn't sure of himself. And I think there was one moment there where after we crested Fire Road, he's like, car back. You know, that's something that cyclists say on group rides. And what kind of made me chuckle and giggle to myself, I was thinking in my head, yeah, Scott. There's car in back of us, cars to the left, cars to the right. We're in traffic. That's what vehicular cycling is. We're in traffic. Of course, there's a car in back. Anyway, but yeah, so it's an example of how even though he's faster than me, I was more versed, experienced, know how to negotiate traffic. Because like I said, no matter how fast he is or fast whatever the cyclist is, I'm really getting closer now. No matter how fast the cyclist is, nobody's ever going to be as fast as a car. So we have to be able to be responsible, to have the ability to take our to see to our own safety here. All right, I'm at 31, about to hit 32. This phone chops off, I believe, at 33. So that's what happens. You're undermining our ability to protect ourselves, and the police have done this all because they just simply can't admit that they were wrong. They don't want to. They've corrupted themselves. They've corrupted the judges involved, going so far as to not even allow me to read the language of the law in court, to read my charges in court, because that language is very much indeed exculpatory. All right, that's it for now. Total Control 871.